You're listening to Orlando Credit Union's On the Money. I'm your host, Kaylee Green, and today I'm joined by Orlando Credit Union's Semoran location branch manager, Lili Patrick. Hi, Lili.
Hi, Kaylee. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How are you today?
I am wonderful today.
Today is a very important day because we're talking about understanding the weight of credit card debt.
Yes.
And so many people, I feel like, have faced this at one point or another, whether you're currently going through it or you went through it in the past and you were able to pay down that debt, which is obviously a great testament to how it is possible. But before we dive into the topic, I want to talk about you a little bit.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about your background working in the financial industry.
So, I have been in the financial industry for at least 30 plus years.
Wow.
Yeah. I
So
started
you've
off.
seen some stuff.
I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of things happen through just the years, and so it's been interesting. I've been with the credit union itself it'll be 3 years and 2 days. I'll be there for 3 years.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you so much. And it's been 3 wonderful years.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Of course, you said 30 years. I mean, that's a long time. What have you experienced within that time?
Oh, gosh.
Where'd you start? I'll say that. Were you on the teller line?
So I started as a teller,
Okay.
and I worked my way up. I've been in every probably position there is in the banking industry, except for I've not been the president of a bank yet or a CEO, which I'm okay with not going there. But I've done everything else, which really gives me a different perspective when it comes to challenges and just your everyday issues that we go through in the financial
industry. Yeah. So you've really been able to see how things have changed over the years, not only within a specific department, but also within every single department that exists within the financial industry.
Absolutely. It's some things are so the same. After 30 years, you would think that, but we definitely have grown. Financial institutions everywhere. The digital, era has changed how we do banking, I think, today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a reoccurring conversation that I've been having with so many people who work at Orlando Credit Union, but everybody is seeing those changes. And it makes me think about the importance of credit cards because you want to make sure your credit score is good. People aren't just paying with cash anymore.
No.
You're virtually doing a lot of things online through that digital aspect.
Right. I have a funny story. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember your first credit card you ever got?
Yeah, I do. It was probably 6 years ago.
Mine was a lot longer than 6 years ago. But I remember I was so excited. I had no idea what really credit cards were. I had no idea you had to pay interest on them when you got them. It was a store credit card, and so I was with a friend, and my friend had this store credit card, and she's like, I remember saying, I can't afford to get anything today, and she's like,
you can save 10%.
Yes, if you just get a card. I'm like, I want one of those cards, not realizing, I didn't even know like what percentage I was paying back on it. So I just remember paying it and paying it and paying it, and it was never going down, and I didn't understand why. And it's funny because I was young at the time. I was probably 18 when I got my first credit card, and I remember telling my dad, and I got in trouble. My dad came from like old school where if you didn't have the money to pay for it, you just didn't buy it.
Yep, that's how my dad is too.
Yeah, so they never talked to me about credit or how it works, and and if you think about it, a lot of parents don't talk to their kids about it, but it's generational because their parents didn't talk to them about it. So I think things are changing where we're starting to get more information is out there for anybody to see or to read or or to watch. So it's changed a lot as far as when I started in banking and when I started my credit journey. So that has changed.
And it's also about breaking that stigma that credit cards are bad.
No.
So many people think, I can't get a credit card because I'm going to go into debt and it's bad.
Right.
But credit is so beneficial and you need it in so many instances.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we talk about credit card debt. I probably daily with some of our members. You know, we just went through probably one of the worst, you know, times of a lot of people's lives with the with COVID.
Yeah.
And so many people had to start living off of those credit cards. And so now we're seeing the outcome of all of that. People are coming in and, you know, not even realizing that they're paying 30%, 29.9% on their credit cards.
Crazy.
And they just can't get out of it. And so that's what we're doing, you know, as a credit union, is to give them options and tell them there's lifelines out there. There's education out there, and we can help them get out of that credit card debt. Like you said, credit cards are so important. You know, try to go rent a car or buy airline tickets online, and you know, you really need a credit card to travel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's so important. And if you don't have control over your spending, like we've discussed, it can land you in some hot water.
Yes.
So we've talked about it a little bit, but how easy is it to really fall into credit card debt? I feel like all it takes is, you know, only paying the minimum payment, and then the next thing you know, you're
that's
stuck.
what happens. Sometimes people are out of work or, you know, and they'll use their credit card to just supplement their income. Maybe it's just for a month to get by, but when it's time to pay back that money, you know, really, would you go into a bank and say, I would like a loan for, you know, $5,000 and I'm okay paying 30% interest back? The loan would never get paid back.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we're seeing with credit cards. They just cannot get ahead of it. They're paying, you know, the minimum amount that they can pay because that's what they can afford right now. But that minimum amount is still a lot, but it's still not paying down that credit card debt itself. So yeah, so now we have to come up with another option, and that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to help people get out of that credit card debt.
So how does having credit card debt impact an individual financially? Of course, we've talked about how it's hard for them to pay it back once they skip a month. What does that do for their finances?
You know, sometimes they don't think it's a big deal, but you'd be surprised. You know, once you get past that 30% limit on your credit card, your credit score starts to suffer. So then your credit score starts to suffer. So then when it comes time where, say, you need to go get a car because your car broke down, or we had a hurricane and their car's flooded, and now they have to go get another car. Now they're looking at interest rates of, you know, higher than they would if they didn't have that credit card debt. I think it affects people's health. You know, having the stress constantly and having that debt there that you know is not going away. You know, we get car loans, we get home loans, and we make those payments and principal and interest, and we slowly start seeing that, you know, to go away. You get a car loan, you have it for 5 years, and in 5 years that car is yours and you're done with that. But with credit card debt, it's endless.
It's a cycle.
It's endless unless you do something to change that.
And of course, we're talking about the weight of debt right now, but you mentioned, you know, wanting to stay within that 30% sweet spot when you have a balance on your credit card. There are a few different factors that impact your credit. Is having that specific amount paid off a high factor as far as what your number will look like?
Absolutely. And, you know, if you stay below that 30% ratio as far as what your balance is on your credit card and what you can afford, once you start going over that, your credit score just starts to suffer, and like dramatically. You know, you would think it would be just a couple of points, but we're talking 20, 30, 40, 50 points. It suffers. And there's times people are paying their monthly payment, their minimum amount of payment, and their balance is still going up. So they're not only are they not, you know, changing the amount, but it's increasing because their percentage sometimes will go up too. So if they might start with an introductory 1.99, but within a couple of months, they're looking at, you know, 24, 25, 26% on that amount that they have outstanding.
Yeah, that's the tricky part about credit cards is they can be so beneficial and they can be so helpful, but you have to do it the right way.
You have to definitely do it the right way. I mean, credit cards really are out there just for a couple of reasons. Temporary income, not income, but just a temporary like purchase that you need to make that you don't want to use cash for. We're really supposed to use our credit cards and pay them off every month. You know, like we grew up, our parents, right? Don't buy it unless you have the money to buy it.
Live within your means.
Right. So using a credit card, really, that's what the way you're supposed to use a credit card is use it just to purchase what you need, and then when you get that bill, you pay the whole thing back because you have the funds to do so.
Yeah, and so many people do not. Like I know,
No.
especially in that younger generation,
Absolutely.
Gen Z, millennial, we're looking at these outrageous rent payments. So all my money's going to my rent.
Yes.
Well, what should I do? Oh, well, I'll just use my credit card to pay for my
Absolutely.
groceries and for going out to eat with friends when you really should not be doing that.
No, and that happens all of the time, all the time. But the good thing is there's the way out. So
yes, which is my next question for you. So, of course, we've discussed that it can seem impossible to get out when you're having to pay those monthly payments and your interest is just increasing, especially if the monthly payments are maybe too much, like they're really riding the cusp of what you can afford to be paying. What's the best course of action to tackle credit card debt?
You know, the first thing you would want to do, you want to get education, right? As far as how to get out of the spot that you're in. Debt consolidation loans is definitely one of the ways to go. It's an unsecured loan, and the interest is going to be a little bit high, but probably I would say half of what you're paying on that credit card. So you're looking at cutting your payment, what you're paying monthly, in half, and you're paying principal and interest at the same time, and it's a term loan. So, you know, whether it's 3 years or 5 years, you know exactly when it's going to be paid off. So we go in, we pay off all your debt, all your credit cards for you, and then you're going to be paying your monthly payments to pay off that credit card debt. But your payments are going to be a lot less, a lot manageable, and within 3 to 5 years, they will be completely paid off.
And that's something that Orlando Credit Union offers.
Absolutely,
correct?
absolutely. You know, since COVID happened, we've seen a lot more of that than we ever seen before. You know, epidemically, that is it's a lot out there, and you know, I've never seen a company that just has taken a stance on really getting people back on their feet again, and that's the one. There is a way out. People do not believe there's a way out. I think they're so stressed that and embarrassed. You know, people get embarrassed because they're in debt. And we're here for them. We don't want them to be embarrassed. Just come in, just talk to us about it, and let us help you see a way out of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned COVID, especially during that time frame. You know, a lot of people who may have been laid off from their job because doors were closing.
Correct.
They had to turn to credit cards because they didn't have any income, and they might not have had enough in savings to make it last long enough. So that's, I'm assuming, why you're seeing so many people coming in.
That's the majority of the reason why we're seeing credit card debt so high right now, is because of that. You know, we didn't know how long it was going to last. You know, people thought at first it was going to be a week, and then it was going to be 2 weeks.
And then a month.
And 2 weeks, and a month, and a month. And people had to eat. You know, they had to survive. And they did what they had to do to feed their families. And we give them credit for doing that. But now come in, talk to us, and let us help you get out of that credit card debt.
And Orlando Credit Union offers so much to help, along with, debt consolidation loans. We offer things such as Green Path Financial.
Oh, Green Path. So I love them.
Let's talk about Green Path a little bit.
Yes. They do debt counseling.
Yes.
They do also debt management also. They could give you a plan, and for free, just for being a member with us. You could go online to Green Path, put in how much debt you actually have, and they will give you a number of like how much you should be paying a month to get out of that debt within 3 to 5 years. So really, you could put it into your own hands. And some people just really, they don't know what to do. They have no idea how much every month they should be paying to get out of debt. And with Green Path, you could talk to a counselor. They will help you get out of debt. And doing that, there's so many tools there that not only could get you out of debt, but get you out of that debt within 3 to 5 years. So.
Yeah, there are so many great resources
yeah.
that people have who might be looking to get out of that debt.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up, is there anything else that listeners should know about credit card debt and how to tackle it?
I think the first step is to admitting that you have credit card debt. Just come in and talk to someone about it. Don't be embarrassed. It's okay, because we've all been there. And if we haven't been there, we know someone else that has been there. So we're really just here to help, and no judging. Just come in. Let's get you out of debt and get your credit journey back on track again.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lili.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And to learn more about the many resources Orlando Credit Union offers to help those paying down debt, you can head to our website at orlandocreditunion.org. Until next time, we're investing in you. Orlando Credit Union is providing this podcast as a public service. The information provided is neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of Orlando Credit Union policy. Reference to any specific product does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by the credit union. Views and opinions expressed by Orlando Credit Union employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the views of the credit union or any of its officers. Orlando Credit Union is not providing any financial, economic, legal, accounting, or tax advice or recommendations in this podcast.